Yes, great. Okay, my name is Joakim Öhman from Elastx. So I'm one of the responsible for the technical parts. As Henrik mentioned first, quickly before, we are a Swedish cloud provider. So we have two platforms. One is based on a Elastx platform that is also based on containers, but it's based on OpenVC instead. So it's the old container race. And then we're working a lot. Have been working a lot with OpenStack as an infrastructure service. But what we have seen is that more and more of what we run inside OpenStack is container-based, so different type of container frameworks. And we really see the benefits. We've been working with containers for a long time, and containers will be our first-class citizens in our platform. So currently we're working on building a cost solution, a container as a service. And when we did that, we did evaluate a lot of tools or frameworks on how to provision and how to maintain a Kubernetes installation. So my thought today was that I think it would be maybe good to share that with you guys, because it might be able to save you some time. So how many have been running Kubernetes for dev, test, and production? Okay. How many of you are maintaining your own Kubernetes installation? Okay, good, interesting. Because it would be really nice to hear your feedback on how you maintain your Kubernetes installation today, and see if we have missed something or it's something you could share with the audience here tonight. Okay, so from our side, when we looked at from our requirements, is that we wanted to be able to run this bare metal. We wanted to be able to do it multi-tenant for the users that wanted to, where they think it's okay to run it multi-tenant, and see also how we can make that secure. I will return to that. Dedicated hardware option, of course, for users. And we have multiple regions. So today we have 3 data centers, and we'll treat them as availability zones, and that need to be managed in a good way. And OpenStack integration. Kubernetes is great, of course, but I think there are things missing that you want to have. For example, object storage, something that you would like to maybe consume, and other services that is nice to have. And we wanted to go with Calico networking because in our experience when we're working with different of these container frameworks is that when you're working with overlay, we've seen a lot of clusters that have had problems with overlays, but we have seen very stable implementation with layer 3 implementations that are also proven to be very scalable as well. So when we actually I saw a small video clip, and I thought, okay, well that's exactly how I work. So I'm just gonna show you that with this. Hope this load. Yeah. We kind of love technology, and we just hang on to it like this and see where it leads us. But there's a lot of dead ends, so you just, need to change direction sometimes. And you really don't want to let go, because it's a fun ride, you want to be there. And if you let go, well, you're out of the game as well. So, because that's what we found during this, is that there are so many initiatives in this sector, not just with this, but all this, container orchestration and so on. And many of them won't, be so long-lived. They will terminate because there's other better options now. And then if you started to invest in that track, then you have, put a lot of money and resources, something that we can't continue to use, and we have to switch and use something else and so on. I'm going to go through a number of different ways to do this, but there are so many options. So there's a number of options that we have excluded. We have not included for example, commercial products that are not available as an open source version or as a free trial instead. So there's a number of those. We have not taken any of hosted solutions when you just buy it as a service. For example, Google Container Engine and Amazon Container Services, Kubernetes, a number of players. And we have also excluded very platform specific. There are some implementations, for example, for Cloud Stack, but that implementation just only works with Cloud Stack in there. So we excluded some of those. So it must be more what the general ones. And some we just missed. Maybe some that you're using, then you can just raise your hand and say, okay, but we're using this. It's awesome. And I say, oh, nice, because we need more great ones. Okay, start to look at the local ones. If you just want to have a local lab environment, then we have Minikube, that is from the Kubernetes project. It's based on, you can either run it against a VirtualBox or KVM. It's just for a single node deploy. Contributors, I just added that to see, okay, how active it is, how many actually contribute to this. The number of the first one is the number of users that has contributed more than 100 lines of code, and when they were last updated. So as you can see, Minikube is well, pretty big compared to the other options. For example, Kuban from Merantis, using a Docker technology. The nice thing with that one is that you could actually use it for multi-node, so you can actually try maybe more with the network stack and so on. Then we have the Ubuntu one that you can deploy locally using Elastx containers. And then we have the native support that is coming out now for the local Docker community versions. So if you're using for Mac now, for example, the latest version, if you're using the Edge version, I think you need to know to do. So if you're using the Edge version of Docker now for Mac, there's just a tick in the box. Yes, okay, I want to have Kubernetes support, and you can just enable that, and you can use Kubernetes kubectl commands and so on. So that's pretty nice. Okay, started from the ground up. The hardware, well, you build everything, of course, from scratch. I'm not going to talk much about that. It's just, it's quite time consuming, and why reinvent the wheel again? Then we have something halfway there is, well, it's you maybe using some of the official packaging from the major Linux distributions. It takes you a bit further. You can of course use any type of runtimes and CNI and so on. If we look at all the most of the guides out there, they are almost all of them using Flannel. But you can use Colic or any other one as well, of course. Next step is KubeAd. Still in parts of KubeAd is still in beta, and some parts are still in alpha. KubeAd is a tool to help to bootstrap Kubernetes. But it will never be the tool that orchestrates everything. It will never be the tool that orchestrates your nodes that you will run Kubernetes on and so on. So Kuban is a tool that they have taken that is actually supposed to be used by other orchestration tools, and for help you if you want to build it manual or with your own orchestration tools. So to simplify and to make it more standardized on how to deploy it. So it's very open. So it's the thing that it's missing now mainly. It's, I would say, high availability support in version 1.9. They say that will be available in 1.10, but let's see. It slipped 1.9, so you could slip 1.10 as well. Next one is KubeSpray. KubeSpray was named Cargo before, and now KubeSpray. This is one of the bigger ones. So 171 contributors to that one. So that is based on Ansible to deploy a full production-worthy Kubernetes stack. And it also had support for both bare metals and the major cloud providers that you can use. So you can even provision the machines and everything. And it supports our container Linux from CoreOS, Debian, Ubuntu, CentOS 3 around. And also, yeah, you see the CNIs that Flannel, Calico, and the big ones. Today only Docker, so we're hoping for better support for other runtimes. CRIO, for example, that I think will be strong in the future. HA, yes. K8s is another one, also actually more active than Kubespray. The limitation with K8s and why, so K8s looks also very good. The limitation with K8s is that it doesn't have bare metal support, so it's primarily focused for when you run it on other type of infrastructure as a service. So today it only has supported full support for Amazon, and we have beta for Google Cloud Engine and vSphere, Alpha vSphere, and they have experimental for OpenStack and Azure, but more will come and more will be, well, production ready, of course. Well, many of the major operating systems support for 8 different CNIs, so it's a good support there. And they also have support for different runtimes, so Docker, CRIO, and Fracti, even if they're still beta, the support is there. You can use it. And high availability, yes. Ubuntu is also a very competent one. It supports both bare metal and different cloud providers, many CNIs, many runtimes, and so on. The problem with Ubuntu is that, well, you have to use Juju and conjure up and stuff like we maybe don't want to learn because we have other orchestration tools. Otherwise, it looks pretty good. And you can use it for free, community support, but you can also go the commercial way with commercial support. So that starts for bare metal machines from $600 with limited support and no HA and so on, up to $4,380, and that is per node per year. And you will see in the later slides as well that all these vendors kind of, well, keep track on each other. So everyone is about the same level. So it's pretty steep pricing for many of them. And then we have the CoreOS. So CoreOS have Tectonic. Tectonic is a pretty neat packaging of Kubernetes. Also supports bare metal, Amazon, and Azure. Supports CoreOS, but they're also looking into beta support of RHEL. Only runtime is Docker for now, which is a pity. But they say they will add other runtimes, but not so far.
Sure about that?
Yeah. Well, have you run it with other runtimes?
Does it support Rocket, which they built themselves?
Yeah, no.
It's
I haven't tried it. But I tried for. We didn't evaluate this one because it didn't fit our needs. But well, it actually was the business model that failed us there. But I went through the documentation. I couldn't find any support of it. So, but it is strange. I think, oh, Rocket would be.
I kind of think they do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to swear.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think they should as well. But I couldn't find any information on it.
Okay.
So. Yeah. The problem with CoreOS or Tectonic is that it's nice that they have a free version, so you can run up to 10 nodes for free. But as soon as you go over that, you have to be commercial, and then it's $4,000 per node per year. So it's very steep from going from free to nothing, and it would be nice to have something in between there. Rancher have their own container orchestration called Cattle before. but they all like Openshift and Rancher and everyone will turn over and using Kubernetes now as their default one and built-in one. So it's Rancher 2.0 that has the Kubernetes full native support. That is still in beta, but nice with Rancher is that you can run it for free if you want, and you can buy commercial support if you need it for unlimited nodes. One thing that I maybe don't like with Rancher is that they only provide today their own CNI, that's IPsec based. And I would like some more options there. Yeah, that's Rancher. One thing with Rancher is, and as many of these, is that they don't have any public pricing for support and the commercial, and that tells us that, okay, around 4,000 limit. Yeah, there's a standard pricing for this. IBM Cloud Private, I thought, okay, who want to run that? Who want to run Kubernetes on IBM? Then I thought, yeah, okay, the banks, because they have supported WebSphere in a package one, so. Anyone running the IBM one? No. Anyone running WebSphere here? No. Okay, lucky you. Then we have Cloud Foundry. So Cloud Foundry is from the beginning PaaS service, but they also have a number of projects. So they built this Bosch configuration management. So they're using Bosch to orchestrate Kubernetes. Only support Flannel, Docker. It's I haven't looked in too much in this Cloud Foundry container runtime. OpenShift, I guess some of you guys are running OpenShift here. Yeah. Yeah. So OpenShift is actually a bit more than just container orchestration. It's more of a PaaS implementation based on Kubernetes. Their own, they provide an Ansible way to deploy it if you don't want to do it another way, and nice support for bare metal and other platforms. But they have really steep pricing, so they have the community version that is great, but jumping up to the 2-socket license is 15,000 per year. So I guess, well, there are room for some discount here, I guess, but that's the list price. And then we have Mesosphere data center operating system. That is actually, well, I think it's a nice solution, but it's more of DCOS is like a data center operating system. They can add a lot of resources, and then you can consume it with different types. You can use it directly to run maybe Cassandra cluster, for example, but you can also run a Kubernetes cluster, and you use DCOS to orchestrate everything. They have the same pricing here, so around $4,000 per node. The problem with this pricing is that they don't differentiate based on what type of node it is. So if you have a small bare metal node, or if you have a huge one with 96 cores, it's still the same price. So for us, who want to deliver a dedicated bare metal that maybe in different stages, this pricing might be okay for the largest one with 96 CPUs, but for the smaller one, this costs more than actually the whole node for a year. So that's a problem. I think their business model is a bit off for a vendor like us. And you run into a number of abandoned or deprecated options, of course, when you look into this. And this is a number of them. CubeUp is deprecated. Photon from VMware is not deprecated, but this is actually the commits from Photon. So VMware said, that's fine, we're going to keep the project, but we're just not going to put in resources and develop this anymore. Some other guys are going to do that, but it means that it's dead. And we have Kubernetes Anywhere. that also is deprecated, and Kubernetes Ansible. And Kubernetes Ansible, or actually is Kubespray also. They have maybe 3 names, and just moved around a lot. So some of the direct reflections when we did this evaluation was, I think, 2 things. One is that many of these vendors try to implement their own application catalog for a ready and supported application to orchestrate on top of Kubernetes. And not maybe just half of them actually supports Helm. And I think that's a bit strange. Why doesn't everyone just support Helm and support that ecosystem instead? And the big leap of pricing. So if you actually want to go supported or want to have help and support for this type of solution, it's going for free, and then it's a very enterprise pricing levels, and that's a pity. Ubuntu is the only vendor I think that actually has some steps, so you can actually choose what pricing level you and what commit you want from the vendor. Because their most expensive price that was around 4,300 something, that was actually fully managed. So then they are in and managing the stuff as well. So from 600, so if you have a $600, it's that's maybe okay. So if you don't see the price on the homepage, then it's 4,000. Another thing would like to mention, how many are familiar or working with OpenStack? Okay, so OpenStack is the largest open source framework for infrastructure as a service. So if you want to build an Amazon-like EC2-like service on-prem, for example, OpenStack is a good choice for that. And you can run OpenStack together with Kubernetes in different ways. So from the left, you can just run it side by side, or you can run Kubernetes on top of OpenStack, which is pretty common. But you can also do it the other way around. You can actually run OpenStack on top of Kubernetes, which is kind of mind-breaking, but it's pretty cool. So if you would like to run side by side, there are some things that you can share and use on both ways. They use Keystone in OpenStack, that's their authentication engine for user catalog. So there is support for integration auth in Kubernetes with Keystone. You have the object storage, that's a very nice way to consume storage in a cloud environment. It's just like Amazon S3, for example. Load balancing as a service, as you need often an external load balancer together with Kubernetes. And Barbican, for example. And Barbican is for handling secrets. So it's an API for that in OpenStack. And you can use HSM as a hardware security modules in the backend for an OpenStack that actually stores the secrets and stores them very safely. So when you're running Kubernetes on top of OpenStack, there are a number of projects that support this. One is Magnum. Magnum is like packaged container solutions that you can just deploy with the Magnum command. They say the number of nodes, and it will start instances of OpenStack and have a Kubernetes or Swarm cluster up and ready, and so you can start to consume. Murano is more of a general application catalog, and both are using Heat, and Heat is like CloudFormation in Amazon, where you can put in a recipe and it will build your environment. So both Magnum and Murano are using Heat, but the application in that application catalog there is always also support for Heat, for example. And another pretty interesting project, I think, but it's not very well maintained. It's StackCube. So StackCube, instead of using KVM and QEMU as the compute nodes for creating instances, you use Kubernetes instead. So you use the APIs from OpenStack, but instead of getting a virtual machine, you get containers. And when you use this side by side, running Kubernetes on top of OpenStack, you can also integrate with Neutron, which is their the networking framework, and also Cinder for persistent volumes. And you have support for that in Kubernetes. The other way around is it's a really cool solution, but it's actually you just use Kubernetes for orchestrating OpenStack. So OpenStack is pretty complex to manage, but there is an OpenStack Helm project that is the better one of these. There are two projects that actually supports this, but Cola is still experimental, and OpenStack Helm is more production ready. So it's a number of telco vendors that is driving this development, because some of them have demands that they want to really quickly have and easily deploy OpenStack clouds in a lot of places and orchestrate that. So they thought Kubernetes was a great way to do it. Something that we are very interested in and we have evaluated a lot, and that might be interesting for you guys as well, is to add additional security in containers. So it's hypervisor-based container runtime. So what it actually does is it's a runtime that doesn't just start a Docker container, but it actually starts a small VM, a lightweight VM, where the container is running. So you will get the VM isolation of your containers, but it's almost as fast and almost as easy to use as a normal container. All of the options that we have been evaluating are using Chemo, and it's Intel have a solution that is called Intel Clear Containers. Then we have Hyper HQ, and that's using has developed Hyper. And then we have Fracti, and Fracti is a runtime implementation, a CRI that is maintained in Kubernetes. But that is actually based a lot on the Hyper implementation. And the project that we hope the most on is Kata containers, but that is very new. It just started up a few months ago. But that it's both Intel and Hyper had collaborated, so they are building the new standard for deploying this lightweight VMs for container. So what it does, especially with Kubernetes, is that you're working with pods, and you're starting one lightweight VM per pod to isolate that pod. So that's the way we are able to provide a multi-tenant Kubernetes cluster. Otherwise, that would be too unsecure. Even if meltdown and everything, you can't be sure anyway. But as secure as you can get. We have now other actually more interesting concepts around that with runtime encryption, and you can actually lock memory within a node. So even if a node would be root hacked, you still can't access that process memory because it's locked. But you have hardware support for that for specific Intel CPUs, and you can encrypt it as well. So that's
unless you're on Intel.
Sorry?
Unless you're on Intel and have meltdown especially.
Yeah, exactly.
Won't that actually?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the support for that as well. So even if for the meltdown, so that you can't, even if you can't, the memory is actually locked in the CPU for that process. But also, if for some reason they could read it, it would be encrypted anyways. So what did we end up with? Well, for our requirements that we had both commercially and functionality as well, we actually didn't find a 100% match. So currently we're working with our own Ansible provisioning and Cuban, and waiting for the HA support mainly. It could be that we select another solution, but that's the current work we're doing right now. So we plan to launch this course later on this spring. So if anyone is interested in trying it out, just let us know, and you can sign up with an account. So did you guys, who is running Kubernetes today, is there any solution that I missed that you're using?
Yes, we're using Cube AWS.
Yeah.
But I guess you missed because it's only for AWS.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
Yeah, I excluded that.
So yeah.
Okay. Are you happy with it, or?
Well, as expected, it's a mess, of course, because then you have to take care of a lot of stuff. Kubernetes itself is a lot of moving parts that you have to take care of. So Cube AWS helps with that.
Yeah.
But apart from this, like applying add-ons, or I don't know, even if you want to run stuff, for example, a CI farm on top of it and automating it, it's kind of messy. But yeah.
Okay. Upgrades?
That's upgrading Kubernetes is easy, but upgrading Cube AWS itself is kind of complicated.
Yes. Okay.
So we are looking forward to use COPS right now.
Yeah. Okay. You're evaluating that now, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Looking good, or?
Yes, looking very good.
Okay. Yes. So anyone else? Yeah.
Yeah, we are using Cube now, and it's a solution that we implemented ourselves. We have a little bit different use case that there is in industry. So I'm a PhD student, so we mostly use Kubernetes to do computation.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to quickly spawn Kubernetes clusters that are short-lived.
Okay.
And all of the available solution like Cube Spray, for example, takes for 1,000 cores cluster takes forever, like it's impossible.
Yeah, Ansible isn't the fastest provisioning.
Yeah, so this is a solution that is based on Terraform. Like we have some partners at Imperial College in London, and they spawn a cluster like 1,400 cores. It takes around 15 minutes. So it's like that's the strength, but then it falls, of course, on other things. It's just something to do. Take resources, do computation, release.
Yeah. I looked at have you tried Rancher OS? Rancher is deploying their own container optimized operating system as well. The nice thing with that one is that you can actually spawn and start containers through Cloud Init.
Yeah, that's the same thing that we do actually. So
you do? Okay. Oh, great.
Yeah. So that this is why it's faster basically.
Yeah.
So there is no central machine that orchestrates everything.
Exactly.
So everything starts independently and it scales.
We basically use our own homegrown Terraform version of this.
Okay.
So, like I said, but we've been using Kubernetes for 3.5 years, and there existed none of the solutions that you put on the screen there.
Yeah.
So we basically have cloud in it. So we basically have to roll our own templates for all those and set up every single daemon and everything by itself.
Okay.
So
Are you running bare metal or cloud?
No, on Amazon.
Amazon.
So we do have auto-scaling groups which we can change the use data for and then roll it out.
Yeah.
So that's basically the upgrade process.
Yeah.
But for certain things like the HCD clusters, for instance, which carry the state, we're a bit more careful and usually do it machine by time manually to be sure that we're actually on top of it. So that's not automatically, but
nice.
we're not on that scale either. So.
Anyone else want to share how you do it?
No? Yeah. I have not tried, but whereas you have container as a service platform also.
Yeah, I kind of missed SUSE. SUSE isn't really big in Sweden, I don't know why, but so is it...
I don't know, I have not tried that.
No, you haven't tried, okay. Oh, so you guys who's running Openshift, are you happy with that? Yeah?
Yeah, we're running it and yeah, sort of happy with it.
Yeah.
It has a nice Ansible installer, so...
Did you start using it after it became Kubernetes based, or did you start before as well?
Yeah, after it became Kubernetes based. Yeah.
Okay, great. Then let's have a fika.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Two?
of course.
Two and a half.
Yeah, two and a half.
My first question is, you listed in your tables, you listed the support for CNI and the different implementations. So I was a bit curious about your requirements regarding CNI.
Yeah, it was. We evaluated that, or based on the experience with that, with a number of different container frameworks, and we and also other integration that Calico is doing. So we just, Calico was just the target CNI that we wanted to use. And that's just because it's purely layer 3, and and we have a platform where that works very well with, and it will scale very well as well. And we just like to we like work with layer 3.
Okay, so thank you. My second question was basically how many people you guys are working on this, because I also think that, I mean, that's basically changes the requirements in terms of like creating something of your own, or like contributing to Cuban or something like that. So
yeah, we're a small team.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are. It depends. We do a lot of help customers as well, but in this platform we are maybe 4 or 5 guys that is involved in developing and evaluating.
Mm-hmm. And so my half question then, as a follow-up, is: are you also contributing to Cuban? Because here it says you're waiting for HA support, but
yeah,
you could
exactly.
add it yourself.
We try to contribute as much as we can, but as we are a very small team, we can't contribute everywhere. So we have done contributing, for example, for a lot around OpenStack and their Ansible deployments and so on, but in this case, we just didn't have the resources to contribute yet. But we hope that we will. And as we grow, we hope to contribute a lot more as well. Yeah.
So you said you're using Calico?
Yeah.
Are you using network policies or just for the...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're using that one. And we're also using that, or the new platform we're using, we're also using Calico for our bare metal machines that is not Kubernetes, so to manage firewall rules and stuff like that.
Yes.
So that's why I like the Calico model a lot.
So do you think it's like a kind of a good replacement, or at least for something better to do the multi-tenancy stuff? Because then you can like kind of slice your environment, your nodes and everything. And
yeah, exactly. It's a lot around that also to be able to support the multi-tenancy in a better way.
Yeah, because you talked about the one that spins up different like VMs. And
yeah, exactly. But it still uses Calico.
Okay.
Yeah. So the VMs is just for isolating the kernels, so you won't be able to hack the kernels, but still using Calico directly underneath.
Okay, makes sense. Cool. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you look anything into Canal?
Not too much actually. We need to look into more into that actually. Have you any experience with Canal or?
No, I was very happy when they announced it, but I think it's been very silent since then.
Yeah.
So I kind of wonder what's happened with that.
Yeah. I haven't taken it too much. Okay, no more questions. Now it's feature.